Hello, this is Robert Clark, founder and CEO of Cloverleaf Analytics. And today I'm going to walk you through a demonstration of Cloverleaf Analytics. But as I do so, I'd like you to think and ask yourself, are you maximizing the value of your insurance data in the cloud? Are you able to inspect what you expect in your business? And so with that, I'd like to present Cloverleaf Analytics. Now, this is an entirely cloud-based solution, no desktop applications needed. It's built from the ground up to handle P&C insurance as well as workers' comp. That includes 47 different lines of business. Now, out of the box, you get 200 plus dashboards, scorecards, reports, as well as OpenNA, natural language processing, machine learning, and much more. And we'll cover some of that later in our demo. It also has a seamless Guidewire Insurance Now connector, as well as Claim Center and Policy Center. That allows you to pull the data from your existing policy admin system into Cloverleaf Analytics. And as you do so, it'll calculate out over 950 different KPIs for advanced analytics on your insurance policies as well as claims. Now, you can also load additional data, including quotes, reinsurance, and billings. And we support third-party data out of the box. You can envision this as a large data lake. So you can bring in data like Hazard Hub property information. You can bring in NOAA weather data. You can bring in census data as well. Or you can even ask ChatGPT to provide you some of that data, which we'll see in a little bit. Now, with bringing that in, you have a single version of the truth, one place that you can see all of your information, and everyone will be looking at the same information so that everyone knows exactly how the business is doing. Now, we also do supply other connectors so that you can bring in data from Salesforce, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms so that you can analyze and see how your company is being viewed socially on the web, particularly when there's a disaster, or in general, just how is your company viewed. Now, with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about getting into powerful AI, natural language processing, and machine learning, and how it can empower non-technical users to do some really advanced analysis. Now let's take a look at OpenAI and some creative ways of having OpenAI integrated into cloud-based solutions. So here in Cloverleaf, you can see that we've got a random sampling of states and some US territories, as well as the amount of premium that we've written there. Now, I want to do a context-sensitive query to ChatGPT. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, for each state, I want a value. Well, the nice thing is I can go to AI-driven value, and I can ask ChatGPT for some information. So let's say I want to know what the average number of vehicles are owned by each person in this state. So let's take a look. Let's ask and see what ChatGPT returns. What is the average number of vehicles owned by people in this state? So simply by positioning the question, it's now generated it, sent it to ChatGPT, who's now digesting that and doing the research for us. And we'll give it a moment to return. And now we can see that we have our AI-driven value, which is our average number of vehicles owned by individuals in these different states. And as you can see, it looks like it's around 2 to 2.5 vehicles in most U.S. states. We've got down here Palo Alto. That's just a U.S. territory. We didn't write any business there, but it was in my selection, so I got an actual return on the number of vehicles owned there, which is about 1.5. So you can see how you can incorporate additional data. I could also create some formulas, do some math against this data. So I can get very creative and bring in outside data without having to go and find it and load it into our system. Now, you can use spreadsheets to bring in additional data, but it's very powerful being able to just simply ask ChatGPT to retrieve the data for you. Another area where OpenAI, ChatGPT really gives you an advantage when you're using a cloud-based solution is in creating formulas. And when I say formulas, I'm talking about some pretty sophisticated insurance-based formulas that might be difficult to write if you're not familiar with, say, R or Python or JavaScript or SQL. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're actually going to have Python code written for us by ChatGPT. So I'm simply going to pull my Python module over so that I can connect to it. I'm pushing my data through to Python. I could use R, or we have a marketplace with some pre-written scripts for you. But in this case, I want to ask ChatGPT to write some code for me. So up here, I'm going to simply click on the OpenAI question. And now I'm going to ask it what to write for me. So let's say calculate loss development factors for a loss triangle using the Clark's method. As you can tell, this is a very insurance-specific calculation, which we're going to ask ChatGPT to write us some model code. So I'm asking the question, ChatGPT is going out and writing the code for us right now. Okay, as you can see, we now have our code written for ChatGPT to calculate our loss development factors. If I expand it out, we can see how the formula is doing some nesting because you go to by development periods and the actual data loss and things like that. And down here, you can see it created a sample data set. Simply, you would map your incoming data to replace this data set to be able to use it. Now, if I'm not really sure how this works, and I want to kind of verify that it's what I'm expecting it to calculate, the nice thing is I can come up here to the explain feature. So now we're asking ChatGPT, OpenAI, to explain what this code is. How did this code operate, or how does it operate? And we'll see in a moment exactly how it steps through step by step, explaining to us how it works. And you can see here the given code defines a function called calculate loss development factors. It takes a Panda data frame, which is a mechanism of moving data within Python. Function creates an empty data frame called output PDF, and there's 3 columns, origin, year, and so on. And you can see that it goes through and explains exactly how it's calculating the values in English. So you can use that to better understand and make sure that the formulas that ChatGPT has written for you are exactly what you're looking for, and you can implement this in your own solution. Let's take a look at the use of natural language processing when using a cloud-based analytics solution. Natural language processing is simply the ability to ask questions or tell the system what I'd like to see and have it return that data for me. So we'll do a simple question. We'll say, who are my top 5 underwriters by written premium? And let's say for the state of California. Now you can see it's recommending other questions that I might ask, other data that would be applicable if I wanted to incorporate that. So I'm going to ask the question, and it goes out and says, okay, here are the top 5 underwriters in California. Well, that's okay, but I'd like to see this as a bar chart. So simply I can continue asking my chatbot more questions like change to a bar chart. Now there's a bar chart. Now, if I want to elaborate a little bit more, I'd like to understand what lines of business each of these underwriters are writing. So let's add line of business. And as I'm typing, you can see it's coming up with recommendations automatically. So I'll add line of business. And as you can see, it's changed the graphic format to another format so that I can more easily visualize it. The nice thing about this is I can ask questions and get answers simply by using natural language processing. One of the large benefits of having a cloud-based analytics solution is that you can take advantage of a lot of machine learning libraries. As you can see here, we've got 28 different machine learning libraries, and we've kind of set up a simple model to give you an example of how you can run some machine learning and how you can do some analysis. In this case, we've got some claims data that was pulled in. It's going to run it through a k-means Weka analysis. This is going to group the claims together by mean values of losses reserved and losses paid. And they should group nicely. It's going to do up to 5 different clusters, and then it's going to write it out to an in-memory database. So let's take a look. Let's run this, and then we'll do some ad hoc analysis on it. Give me an idea of how you can create your own models using the different libraries that are in Cloverleaf. Now we've got our model run. Let's take our claim number, and in this type of analysis, I like to do a scatter chart. What that means is I can see my claims on a chart by what their losses paid and their loss reserve are, so I can see them plotted out. Now I can go and take a look at my k-mean. So this is my machine learning. It says, okay, we've created 3 different clusters. So all these claims belong within 3 clusters. So I'm going to take the k-means and I'm going to color code my claims. So now you get a little bit different visual. I can kind of see how those different claims come together. Now here's where the real power of a model like this comes into play, which is bringing in outliers. So if I click on outliers, what it's showing me is those claims that don't really fit or match within the rest of them according to their loss reserve and their loss paid. Now, this is showing them as squares and circles. I'm simply going to re-architect this a little bit and show it vertically. So the claims on the top are in, the claims on the bottom are out. This is sample data. If it were real data, we get a handful of claims. But the nice thing about this is very quickly you can pinpoint over-reserved claims, under-reserved claims, or potential large losses, things like that. You bring in your cause of loss, type of loss, geographic information, adjusters, and you can really start to narrow down where you might have some issues. And is it a particular region, particular line of business with a particular underwriter or adjuster rather? So you can really get a lot of in-depth analysis. So this gives you an example of how you can use one of the 28 different machine learning libraries in Cloverleaf Analytics. Continuing with our demo and our theme of being able to do analytics in the cloud, there's one aspect that should always be covered by a solution, which is forecasting. In this case, what we're seeing on the screen is the amount of loss paid for each month for several years. But what I'd like to know is what is the forecast into the future of what's going to actually be paid out? So as I go to my query panel here, we can go to forecast, and I can choose an algorithm. I, of course, can go to the help and identify which algorithm would be best for me. Or I can use best fit, where our system will look back through history at the data and try to determine the best one. And of course, it's going to do just the next 6 periods. I kind of go to advanced forecasting and I can do more periods projected out over history. I can control frequency and other attributes so I can really fine tune my forecasting. In this case, we'll do best fit. And as we can see, it took and calculated out and forecasted the next 6 months as to what the losses are going to be paid. Now, if you notice, there's kind of a spike, a drop, spike, a drop, spike, drop, spike, and then again, it's dropping but going up. So it actually looks very spot on to kind of what's going on with these losses paid. And you have your upper and lower bounds showing you kind of what the thresholds are based on this. So very quickly, within a matter of seconds, you can forecast out your premiums, your quoting, your losses, and so on. So in conclusion, I hope that this video demo is able to show you how an advanced analytics platform in the cloud will allow you to leverage all the data you're collecting along with other data that you can get from other cloud sources, Facebook, Salesforce, and things like that, to really get advanced analytics using OpenAI to answer questions, natural language processing to ingest and analyze your own data, as well as machine learning to create models so that you can inspect what you expect, as well as be able to feed your frontline adjusters and underwriters with additional information by using APIs and machine learning models. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching the video, and I hope this real-time insurance data insights for the cloud is a helpful solution for you. Thank you.